No.
Well, you led a sheltered life, dear. All right, little Grease number here for you. Been hand jiving. Willie and the Hand Jive was a big hit back in the 1950s. Audrey, where you been?
Well, maybe I wasn't born.
Well, maybe you weren't. Okay, I believe that. I also believe I got an old bridge here I'd like to say. Nevertheless, welcome back to Ageless Radio, where we're 50 plus and forward thinking. And our good buddy Charles Snyder right here in the studio with us.
Right.
And he is going to talk to us. He's a local attorney in Savannah about survivors' benefits that would be worthwhile.
Right, and this is brought to you by All My Sons Moving and Storage. And if you mention All My Sons Moving and Storage, if you mention Ageless Radio when you call All My Sons Moving and Storage to book your move, you'll get $100 worth of free moving supplies.
Bless their hearts.
Really, they're wonderful people. My friend was just moved by them.
Was she?
And she was so excited about that experience. And can you be excited about a moving experience?
Not that I know of.
Not that I know of. I'm telling you, she couldn't stop talking about it.
All I can tell you is that I did, the last time we moved about 12 years ago, we did it ourselves. And if I have to pay somebody $1 million, I will go, I'll go on a worldwide...
Eric DeWeer does not charge $1 million, and he gives absolute wonderful service. His number is 866-726-1579, and mention Ageless Radio.
Absolutely. Charles, great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good to be back, Bill.
It's a pleasure.
Hi, Audrey.
All right.
Thank you.
We talk about Social Security benefits all the time, but this is a little different aspect of it, isn't it?
Yes, we thought we'd talk a little bit about survivors' benefits and related benefits, because I think there's a lot of frustration with the system, because I've often heard people say, well, if I don't live long enough to get my Social Security benefits, or if I don't live long enough to get what I paid into it back, then a lot of it is just gone to waste. And people should be aware that there can be some other benefits, even for a person who perhaps dies prematurely but has paid in enough to be insured by Social Security, and that includes various forms of survivors' benefits, including widows' benefits. Even a divorced former spouse can apply for.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you know, this is puzzling to me, because my wife was a widow, and she was 44 when her husband died. She went in, and he'd been paying in for over 30 years, and they said, "You're too young. You can't get that."
Yes, well, you have to be 60 or 50 if disabled, to get the widow's benefits.
And there are also children's benefits.
Right, children. There's several kinds. If a child is under 18, they can get benefits on their late parents.
Our son got one check. He was 17. He turned 18 the next month, and so he got one check out of the 30 years of paying in the benefits. They got one check out of it. Well,
there are also burial benefits, although I have to say that they're still the same $250 that they were 30, 40 years ago. Right?
It doesn't go as far as it did back then.
No.
I think they do have a discount on that. For the $250, they tie a stone around your waist and drop you in a storm drain. I think that's the that's the new funeral benefit for that one.
Now, you said you found a case from, when we spoke, you said you found a case from California that might provide something interesting.
Yeah, this actually, technically, it's not a survivor's case. It's a spouse's benefits case. For former spouses, a former spouse can also get benefits based on their ex-spouse's earnings, and that you have to be 62. What happened in this case, but it's a similar principle, because except for the one is 60 and one is 62, it's almost the same as a widow's benefit. But what had happened in this case, this lady married this man in a marriage ceremony. They were married, I think it was 22 years, had about 4 children, and after that time she discovered that
she wasn't married?
He already had a wife at the time that they were married. He still had another wife at the time they had their marriage ceremony, so their marriage was invalid. So under California law, she filed to annul her marriage, which she did. And she was in her 40s at that time. When she reached 62, she filed for former spouse's benefits on her putative former husband's account, and Social Security turned it down. And she said, well, wait a minute, the law says you have to be married 10 years. I was married 22 years. And our marriage came to an end, and I'm 62 now, and I want the benefits. And they said, well, actually, you thought you were married for 22 years, but you were really never married, because the marriage was invalid legally, and you had it annulled, which meant it was void from the get-go, notwithstanding the 4 kids, etc. And
yeah, they came UPS.
And she brought a case in court, in the district court in California, applying both Social Security regulations and California marriage laws, determined that there was really no functional difference as far as disability between an annulment and a divorce. So she was ultimately able to prevail, although it took about 5 years from the time she applied to the time she actually won her case.
But her intent was valid. He could not have done the same.
Right. Well, I should have mentioned that it was key to it that under the regulations you have to not be aware of the impediments, or not be aware that it would make your marriage invalid. So she went into it in good faith in a ceremony, and so that was important factor as to why she was to prevail.
Had he tried that, it would not have worked. It would have been like killing both your parents and throwing yourself on the mercy of the court because you're an orphan.
Yeah, that's the definition of chutzpah.
Yeah, if you're ever wondering what chutzpah is.
I love that definition.
I like chutzpah.
I love that word. I know.
But just briefly, I think if anyone feels that they may be entitled to some kind of benefits, be it divorced ex-spouse or widow's benefits, and so on, they reach these age levels, it's good to inquire with Social Security, because sometimes people can be eligible under various theories. For example, you could be eligible under your own work and be eligible under your spouse's work, and under an ex-spouse's work, and in this day and age under 2 or 3 ex-spouses' work. So what I would suggest is that if you're in this type of situation, to contact Social Security, make an appointment to sit down and meet with a Social Security representative, because it can get very complicated. There's a lot of details on it, and some things that you can apply for may not be your best bet. There may be some other thing that you should go for where the benefits are better. And call, make an appointment, then decide what to apply for. Because unless you're already in the system getting benefits, you could be entitled to all kinds of things and not get them if you don't apply.
But that being said, in this particular case, they told her she wasn't eligible, so it would be best possibly to go to a lawyer. In that case, when she was turned down, she did hire an attorney to bring the case. But I'm talking at the initial level. Of course. But also to be listening with a third ear if they say no, that maybe they're wrong.
Yes, and particularly in that case where there were some issues about state marriage law. In other words, whether there's a valid marriage can vary from state to state under certain circumstances.
Charles, how did you? How much research and upkeep do you have to do to stay up with all the Social Security changes? I mean, every time we turn around, the Congress wants to justify their enormous salaries by tweaking something or other. How do they tweak the Social Security laws every year?
Well,
or is it yearly?
Well, it varies now. Of course, in day-to-day practice, primarily what we're concerned about in our firm is Social Security disability, which now, of course, with the widow's benefits, if you're disabled, you can get them at 50 as opposed to 60. So we do deal with it on that level. We don't deal that much with these retirement benefits or